I'd like to say welcome, and I'm excited to get into Autodesk Inventor with you. This is going to be a series of many short little videos to help you become familiar with the software and get up and running so you can start doing some 3D modeling. Some of the things I'm going to cover in this video are these 4 topics. We're going to talk about the guided notes that you're going to be completing with these videos. We're going to show you how to add the software icon to the desktop so it shows up here on your screen every time you log in. We're going to talk about file management, which is super important. We're going to talk about where, how, and when to save. And just so you know, that is going to be specifically for Mr. West class. If you don't have Mr. West, your teacher will instruct you where, how, and when to save with you in class. And then finally, we'll just open the software and talk about just a little bit of general layout. I'll probably save majority of that for the next video. So let's talk about the guided notes. If you have Mr. West, you're going to be using OneNote to take the guided notes. If you don't have Mr. West, it may be a Word document or a Google Classroom or something like that. But you should be completing these guided notes as you're watching this video. So for example, we're going to be covering number 1, 2, and 3 here in the notes in this first video. And the next video, we'll be talking about these items. So be listening for this series of questions and you can fill that in. And there are some initial directions right here. I'm going to talk about those in the video right now. So let's go over those. Or actually in a second, I take that back. So that's the guided notes. Let's go ahead and add the software to your desktop. So the first thing that we need to do is go to the Start button down here, or the waffle as I like to call it. Now this software is made by a company called Autodesk, so it's going to fall right under here under alphabetical order. So it's going to be right here in this first series of softwares under A. And the one that we're looking for is Autodesk Inventor 2019. Now depending on what year it is, this number is going to change obviously as you watch this video later on. But you're looking for Autodesk Inventor. And if you don't see this, it may be underneath this parent folder, which is Autodesk, so you may have to drop that down and look for Autodesk Inventor. But it should be right there. So I'm going to drop down this folder, Autodesk Inventor 2019, and the one that I'm looking for is this one, Autodesk Inventor Professional 2019 English. And all we want to do is hover over the I icon right there, left click hold with your mouse, don't let go, and drag over to your desktop to create a link to that software on your desktop. So go ahead and do that. Drag it out here and then you should see this icon on your desktop. So every time you log in, that icon will be there on that specific computer that you logged into. Okay, so that's getting the software on the desktop. Now let's talk about how to save, where to save, and when to save for Mr. West class. If you have a different teacher, that teacher will instruct you what to do for saving. For Mr. West, we are going to be saving in our shared drive. So let's go click on File Explorer, and you're going to do this with me. Click on File Explorer. Navigate, we want to click on this PC. And then for Mr. West class, you're going to be going to the V drive, so it has a V at the end. So double click on the V drive. I know mine is U, but you're looking for the V drive, so find that. When you go in there, you're going to click on Mr. West's name, so D West. And then find the period that you have him and double click into that. So for this example, I'm going to go into period 1. And then in the period folder, you're going to find a student folder and a submit folder. There may be some other folders if you have me in a different class, but we're going to be specifically going into your student folder right now. So go ahead and double click into student folders, and then in there is a list of every student that is in that class. And only that student and Mr. West has access to that folder. No one else can get into your folder, just the two of you. Again, if you're wondering where I'm at, I went this PC, V drive, you should say V, D West, the period that I have you, and then your student folder. When you click into your folder, you're probably not going to see anything yet. Some of you have me in other classes, so you may see some other folders, which is fine. but for Inventor, we're going to make a specific folder just for Inventor. So go ahead and click New Folder and type the word Inventor to make a folder for this software. Everything we do, all the projects that are in Autodesk Inventor, this software, are going to go into this folder. Every project you do. So that is kind of the where to save. Let's talk about how to save. So whenever you're working on a project, the first thing you should do before you start the project, go into your student folder, go into Inventor, and make a new folder specifically for that project. So for example, if we were going to design a gear, the first thing I would put is gear project, right? And then all the files that I save for the gear are going to go into this folder. So right away we're starting to maintain good file management so we can navigate different projects and go access other files. Alright, so every time you start a project, make a new folder, and that's where you're saving all your files. As for naming convention, you could just call it whatever the name of the project is. So if I'm working on the gear project, the file would just be called gear, and then I would add a number at the end of it. So whenever I'm saving, I would do, like, to start off, it would be gear_1. And then every 5 to 10 minutes, I am going to do a save as and give it a new number. So 10 minutes goes by, gear 2. Another 10 minutes goes by, save as, gear 3. So then you'll have a list of files saved. In case the computer crashes, I can always go back to a previous save. So I just answered number 1 and number 2 and number 3 right there for you in the last few minutes. So that covers file management specifically for Mr. West. The last thing we're going to do is open up the software and just talk for a minute about the home screen. So double click the software and open it up. You're going to notice that it's going to take a few minutes, so it is imperative that you are getting to class early and opening the software anytime we are working in Inventor. It will allow the teacher to troubleshoot problems if your software is not working, if your computer is not working. It'll help the teacher get that stuff taken care of in the beginning of the hour rather than in the middle of the hour. So you want to get in here and get the software open as soon as possible. Now if a window pops up, you can just click OK or close it out, and then your screen's going to look different than mine. You're going to see a screen that says Start Working or Start Learning. Go ahead and click on Start Working. When you do that, your screen will then look like mine. You'll see 3 different areas: Projects, New, and Recent Documents. Out of those 3, the only one that we're really ever going to use is the Recent Documents. So files that you've previously worked on will pop up in this area later on, so it'll be easy for you to go back to old files. In the next videos, we're going to start talking about Windows, and we're also going to go ahead and move into those next questions, so templates and file types.